This is Bill McMinn from Makeable Bible Church, and this is the Way to Go podcast, where we talk about faith, family, and daily life, putting the Bible into practical, everyday terms. Welcome to the Way to Go podcast. Bill McMinn, Bradley Probst here, talking about debt reduction, getting out of debt. And this is a verse. There are other verses on this, but here's a verse: Proverbs 22:7. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. And I think there's a lot of truth in just that concept alone, that when you're in debt, you have to put so much energy into getting out. It's like you're the slave to the lender, right?
For sure. Yeah. No, just trying to get out. It's like a hole that you dug that you got to fill it back in. And
right. For sure.
As you have your other bills coming at you, and just food and the natural stuff too.
And sometimes as you're going through, the bills pile up.
Yeah.
So we do hit those stretches. Like sometimes when what does it say? When it rains, it pours.
Yes.
Like it's just like all of a sudden, and it was just taxes. So a lot of Americans just pay their taxes.
Yep.
So we have that. And then you have, and some people get money back. So it's an exciting time. That's not my position.
Yeah. Or mine.
That I was in. So, but you're paying that. And then I just had a $700 brake job on the truck. 4 days later, the wheel bearing goes out. I'm thinking something went wrong with the brake job. No, it's just another bill.
Yeah.
So it's it doesn't quit.
No, it does not.
Right. But here's some debt. Now, citizens collectively owe $17.5 trillion. That's a number that's astronomical, but not one. Okay, well, how many people divide it by, right? But average student loan debt is $38,000. So if you have a student loan, the average American who has taken out money for college is in it for $38,000. That's pretty high, and really depending then on what the interest rate is, because some of the government loans would be more 6.5%. Loans that are private loans can be as high as 14 to 16%. Now that's really high. So if you have a debt like that, and you're fighting that kind of interest, which is making your debt go up if you're only making minimum payments, I mean, that can be a problem. Average credit card debt, $6,000 to $8,000. I say $6,000 to $8,000 because some places you read and they say it's $6,000 or something. Then you read another site, it says $8,000 or something. Yeah. So it's somewhere in there, $6,000 to $8,000. And again, huge interest rates. The average household is carrying $105,000 worth of debt. Also saw another site say $175,000. $105,000 seems low to me if you're including mortgages and car payments.
Yeah, definitely.
Like on average, I'm like, really? On average, $105,000, and people have car debt and they have mortgages? Like that wouldn't be that scary, but
I wonder if they're keeping, like, you own your house, you don't have a mortgage, so that's going to bring that number down a lot.
I think so. Well, they say like Gen Z, if that's your youngest, they have the least amount of debt. Your baby boomers past, like your retired people past baby boomers, they have the least amount of debt.
Yeah. And
then baby boomers, and it's almost like you're hitting the middle age as you're going to have your greatest debt. The younger ones and the older ones have less debt because the younger ones haven't accrued it yet. The older ones have paid it off.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right on that. But anyway, there these kind of debts: revolving debt, installment debt, secured debt, and unsecured debt. And usually I just think about debt. I don't really think about what kind of debt. But yes, I mean, there are certain debts I would say are okay. There are certain debts I would try to stay out of. Like revolving debt's one I would try to stay out of because that's more your credit card. So if you have revolving debt at the end of the month you can't pay, and you bought your kids shoes, you bought groceries, you have gasoline, you can't pay it. Next month you can't pay it again. Next month, and now it's you owe $5,000 or the one that owes $6,000 to $8,000 on average, and your average credit card debt is 21%.
Yeah, and that's outrageous. Try paying that back every month. I mean. That's a hallway that just keeps going, and
I would like to say it should be illegal. To be honest with you, I honestly think a debt a company being able to charge you 21% should somehow be against the law, and that you would do that to your fellow Americans is rotten to the core, as far as I'm concerned. Like I absolutely hate it. Do I hate credit cards? No, because they pay me 3% back on things that are business related. So I'll take that. So if I'm gasoline, for the one I have, it's gasoline. If it's Home Depot, if it's anything to do with offices, restaurants, hotels, any of that kind of stuff that they'd consider business, that's 3% back, 1% back on everything else.
Yes.
I used to put the kids' college tuition on credit cards because they gave me 1% back. But I paid it at the end of every month.
Yes.
So that was the key.
Yeah, pay it off as soon as you get it. And another thing is also be asking though, because like some of these, especially mom and pop shops you go to, hey, is it cheaper if I paid with check or cash? And if they're like, oh, it's an extra 5%. Well, take that savings and not pay this extra money that we don't need to with a credit card and because of a convenience. No, bring some cash or check. Or
when I'm dealing with the mom and pop and the local businesses, I ask them, hey, is it better for you if I write a check? I'll write a check to them if it's better for them, because if they're not charging me back and they're taking it, I'd rather help them, because sometimes it's not me. I'm not helping me. It's the same cost to me if I'm using a credit card or check, but I still want to be thoughtful of them who has to pay the 2.9% or whatever it is. Yep. So, all right. Question, is debt wrong?
In certain areas, yes.
All right. Well,
I mean, those who are going to borrow and not even think about returning.
Okay.
Because I've heard of stories of like the boomers, the ones that are really up there, they didn't really save for retirement, so they're just racking up credit card debt, thinking that, well, maybe I'll die before they'll need it back. So that is very unbiblical.
Well, that would be unbiblical. I wouldn't say all are, because boomers are actually having less debt.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So their debt is not the biggest.
Some that are struggling, they look at as a way of, well, I can just put it on a credit card, and you got to watch that.
That's unwise. Like that would be incredibly unwise.
I didn't say it was wise.
I don't think debt is wrong. I think, like you said, if you're not paying off your debt, it's wrong. If you're paying off your debt, it's fine, because if you did not have debt, for most Americans, you wouldn't own a house.
Yeah.
If you didn't believe in that at all, most people cannot pay $200,000 for a house cash on hand.
But you plan on repaying that back. That's why absolutely. I say it's okay.
And actually, I mean, I read a history of the Western Reserve, and it was super interesting, because in the history of the Western Reserve, banking came to be. Because banking, when they first come here in 1796, let's say Moses Cleveland comes into Conneaut, Ohio. Obviously, it's mud, and then they come in and they survey it, and everything's on a 5-mile grid. So that's why your towns are pretty much 5 miles apart. So they grid the whole thing out, and they're giving parcels of land away to people from Connecticut. They come out. They say, I've read it was so poor here. I mean, the people would eat corn out of their mattresses. They would have maybe one plate in the whole family and one set of utensils for a whole family. I mean, they were not doing well at all. Things that changed that were the railroads. They get their crops to market faster. I mean, that was a really big deal. For the Cleveland and Akron area, the canal was a big deal. Any farmer along the canal was more prosperous. But then banking came to be a thing. So you had railroads made a big difference. Banking made a big difference. And like they said, no one could have done a business if you didn't have collective money in a bank to loan to the business person who's the entrepreneur going out. It couldn't happen. So I look at some debt and saying, well, if you didn't have debt, you wouldn't have business. If you didn't have business, you wouldn't have jobs. Like there's the whole point of banking is so that we can put our money in the bank. And what happens at that point? At that point, your money's in the bank. Then it's getting loaned out to other people who are going to pay it back at interest. Yeah. That's how banks make money. That's how we are able to do things. So I look at some ways, if you didn't have debt, you probably wouldn't have a car and houses. Those are two where I look at and say that's acceptable debt.
Yes, exactly. One thing I was thinking while you were talking about that is also when we're incurring this debt, such as a house or a car, is to be wise, not to try to live up to be as good as the Joneses, or try to, I have to have these features. Like, do you have to, or is that a want? And that's where we have to decipher. Do you really need a 3,600 square foot home?
Yes. Yes, I do. No, I don't. I don't have one actually. Yeah. So
but these are things that you need. This is also another reason that could be a problem. Like why incur all this extra debt that you don't need? Yes, if you are able to pay it, great. If not, are you doing it to showboat it? That's another thing. Pride.
Well, the older generations weren't the ones living in bigger houses. They weren't the ones typically, right? I mean, they really weren't. I mean, if you look at some of the homes that they built back in the 1950s in the Ashtabula areas, they're very small.
Oh, yeah. And raised 6 kids in it.
Right. Exactly. They were very small by comparison to what we have today. The house I grew up in was not big at all. I mean, it was a very small house. The house my dad and uncle grew up in, it was a very small house. I mean, tiny.
sure.
That was what you were more used to. But those people probably weren't living in over their heads. These were not people with credit cards. Like credit cards, when back you look in the 1950s, almost guaranteed there was not credit cards, and it's certainly not like there was today. I remember my grandfather decrying it when they first came out as being a big problem because it allows you to accumulate debt. That really you should be a little more cautious. I believe in if you have the money, get it. If you want a four-wheeler, if you want that kind of stuff, save up, money on hand, then get it later. If I was in debt and it was time to get out of debt, then I would say you have to be serious about it. I mean, honestly, you can't get out of debt and not be serious about getting out of debt, right? So that means maybe I don't eat out as much. Maybe I don't go to let's say the vending machine and get a Coke every time I want. When I was in college, I didn't have much money. Never. I was probably one of the only students in college that was not, that almost, I would say maybe once or twice my entire years of college, I put 35 cents in the soda machine. I got a pop. I mean, I didn't have it. And people would like make fun of me for it.
Oh yeah.
And I would be like, okay, but I'm not like you. Dad and mom gave me a car to come to college. I had to buy my own car. I have to pay for everything that I had. And plus I was saving up to buy my wife an engagement ring too. And I'd rather my money go to that.
Yeah, you're putting your priorities. And that's where, same with, like you brought up college. And at $38,000 is the average loan debt. I'm not saying that's wrong, but making sure that you have skin in the game. Are you going there and just living off mom and dad and accumulating debt, or get a job? Part-time, if at least, like, you got to be doing something to
absolutely
be already preparing to pay this back.
Well, yeah, because you want to pay us for as much as you go as you can. When my wife and I, we first got married, and this is, of course, I mean, over 4 decades ago, we were making between $16 an hour. So she made $6, I made $10. We had $11,000 worth of debt. So I owed $2,000 to my grandma for a car. I owed $1,000 worth of college debt. She owed $8,000. So I said, okay. And I remember going into a bank one time. She was crying because we wanted to go to seminary, but we said we're not going to go to seminary until we clear this debt. We cleared it in 13 months. We cleared off the $11,000. We may have gotten pizza 3 times that whole time. Like that first 13 months of marriage, like we did nothing. Like we did nothing but pay off debt. That was the only thing we were interested in. So I remember she came to me with the loan paper. She's all crying, and she's all crying because she goes, "It's going to take us years to pay. Look what the bank said." I said, "Hon, the bank doesn't tell you when you're going to pay it off. You tell the bank." I remember going to the office, sitting. I'm all 23 years old, right? So I go in the office and I sit down to talk to these people, and I say, "How much would it take me to pay this loan off in 6 months?" They said $750 a month. I said, let's do that. Now we're making $16 an hour between us. We already have rent and groceries and everything else, and we're paying $750, and we did it because that was what we lived to do one thing, and that was to reduce debt to get ready to go to seminary. In seminary, I mean, we paid as we went. I mean, I didn't have any debt when we got out of there.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point. You have to set those pleasures of eating pizza and like I remember working with the other guys, they would constantly go to the gas station. They wouldn't bring their lunch. They would, I'm going to go get this because, well, you wake up, you don't have to do anything. You just go, but you guys spend $12 every time, and it's like, add that up.
$60. That's in a month. That's $240 bill. Do you want a $240 bill for lunch?
All for an easier, smoother living.
Yeah, no, I mean, there was no such thing. Like people, when I worked, everyone brought their own lunch. Like there was no, you didn't even leave the premises. So, I mean, you had to bring your own lunch. But we were very dedicated to it. And I remember going to the bargain basement in a department store and rifling through pants. Like I probably wore the dorkiest work pants of anybody to work every day.
Big old bell
but they were
bottoms.
probably they were horrible. I thought they were horrible back then, and it was the 80s when things were horrible. Anyway, and I thought it was horrible then. So, but what was I going to do? I didn't have any money for years. Exactly. I was still talking to my daughter the other day. I said, for years, hon, like when you kids were growing up, I had to buy my winter clothes in summer when they were all on sale, and I had to buy my summer clothes in winter, wear them the next year. I had to buy everything was half off. Like I couldn't afford anything. So that's the way that we lived. That was just normal living for us was looking for the deals, looking for the most economical way to do things. Is the only way to survive, right? And if you have debt on top of it, I think one of the scary things about debt is how much it limits you. Like if you have debt and you're not getting serious about it, then that's a problem. And I want to say before we go on into that too, do not ever pay the minimum. Credit card debt, they say, hey, minimum payment is $100. Do not fall for that trap. You pay that minimum, I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to be a nightmare hallway that gets longer and longer because you're going to, a year from now, you're going to owe more money than when you first started. Same with all these college loans. Well, man, my college bill is only $40,000 when I started. I've been paying the minimum the whole time, and now it's $70,000. It's like, yeah, that's exactly what they're doing to you. Wake up, America. Wake up.
Yeah.
These people, oh my goodness. I mean, it's a trap. They're I don't know, was a usury, what the Bible call it, you know what I'm saying, where you're taking advantage of people.
Yep.
It's absolutely terrible what we're doing to our fellow Americans through, especially, it's not just debt, it's interest rate on the debt. Be wise, do not pay the minimum. But anyway, what do you think about it stopping you from doing things, just the debt?
Well, the big thing is I'd like to get into, if you have debt, it hinders you from being able to give, being able to help out a family member in need, helping anybody out in need. If you see some guy in the corner, and we lose opportunities that we can serve God, but because we're being hindered by our debt.
Right.
And that's, you don't, and God's going to bless you. Like I was just telling you, like, even if it's little things, like pray, lay it before God. If you got debt, lay it before him. Say, God, this is what I got, and this is what's coming in. And he'll provide in a way that we overpaid an insurance company. We got a $20 check.
Right.
Hey, I'm going to accept that. That's right. Hey, thank you, Lord.
Right.
Like, didn't expect that. That's a bonus.
Well, I think God definitely supplies needs in a multitude of ways, and he helps you out along the way. But there's always something you can do. Like when my kids went through college, so I was always going to yard sales because we were so poor when we were first married. Yes. Everything we had came from a yard sale. If I had a desk, it was a $10 desk from a yard sale. If we had pictures on the wall, it came because Aunt so-and-so gave it to us, and they're all covered bridges in yarn. Imagine, that's my definition of not having much. My house is decorated with covered bridges in yarn because we didn't have anything else. But everything came from that. But I learned over the days how to then buy and sell.
Yep.
And I got good enough at it that I was able to put my kids through college. So now I'm at the point, we got rid of debt before our kids went to college. There was no mortgage. We've always had some car debt here and there. Like I'll have a car for 10 years, 5 years I had debt on it, 5 years I didn't, it was kind of one of those things. But we were out so that I could put that money, the mortgage payments, into the kids' college payments and help them out. So that was part of my plan, was get out of debt by the time your kids go to college so you can help your kids in college. Well, it's nice now. 2 daughters got married. I've been through all the college. I've gotten my kids through. Now I can still buy and sell and do projects, but not go into debt for it. So just pay as I go. So this project, you pay cash on hand. This project, you pay cash on hand, and you just go. You're not going into debt.
Yes.
Because I avoid it where I can, for sure.
Yes. And that's where, like you said, you got to find a little thing that you can do. Even if it's, hey, mowing the neighbor's yard, whatever. Put that faith into action. Like, God, I need help. And he'll provide. He might not just all of a sudden send you a check like the $20 I got, but he might, hey, then I need help. Do you know someone that can mow my yard? Oh, I can.
I'm glad you bring that up, because Eric's got like one of the sweetest deals ever on that one. Somebody just called him and said, I'll give you $100 every time you mow my lawn. It takes 3 hours. I have all the equipment, all the gas, everything I already have. I'm like, that's a great deal for a young person. I would take that deal. Be in the sunshine, 3 hours, and get $100. We would be getting $10 for that one. Because I'm thinking, seriously, somebody's giving. Maybe I'll tell Jerry about it. I don't know. I'm totally kidding. But no, I'm glad they're being generous. But that's the kind of stuff, you can do. I mean, there's always something. And I've talked to people. I talk about side hustle. And I've known a lot of people who do side hustle, whether you're in rentals, somebody else might be doing something on the side. They might cut down a tree. They might fix something. They might do concrete work. They might do just stuff on the side that they're doing to help their families. I know one guy who works full time. He buys and sells all the time. I mean, all the time. He's got something going for the family. You know what I mean? That he's trying to put money aside. And you have to be careful you don't get caught up in it. But hey, staying out of debt, and there's other ways to make extra money for your family.
For sure.
So I would definitely do that. So what are your other thoughts on that?
Like, oh, well, you hit on a good point is don't allow, because yes, the kids will see your sacrifice, but don't put too much emphasis and get caught in that, okay, I'm out of debt, now I'm making so much money, and the kids, like, don't steal time and things away from the kids as well.
Right. No, the older you get, the more you see important it is. I always had certain nights that were my family's. Like when I was selling eBay, I would wait till they went to bed. Then I would list for a couple hours at night. And in the old days, when I first bought a house, I would just sell 10 things a week. I mean, that was it. But it helped me when a tractor tire went bad and I had a $600 tractor tire repair bill that I didn't have the money for. Well, I could sell stuff. And that's where it always helped me back in that day. So I could have never survived without it. Like if I didn't have side hustle, I would have never made it. So to us, it was like imperative. Then my wife can ship all the stuff. I could sell it. And it was always fun buying it. It's like a big treasure hunt. It's been a hobby for years. I still do it. It's just fun. Like actually, I look forward to it. Like I look forward to getting out there. My kids love it.
Well, and you get to spend time with them.
Oh yeah,
it's not just
it is a
Bill
big
going
thing.
out.
Yeah, no, mine mostly was a big family thing. But one of the keys I remember reading in the finance books by the Christian finance people is like you have two options. When you have debt and you're trying to get out and trying to get on your feet, you can spend less or make more. That's it. Those are your two options. You spend less or make more. And for some of us, we're in that spot. If you can spend less, spend less. I mean, right now, you're probably going to spend less because you got hit with a bunch of bills and you're the same spot I'm in. Yeah, I've gotten hit with a lot between the taxes and the truck and this and that and the other. It's like, it's okay. I'm fine. But I'm also going to be cautious. I'm not going to go out to dinner as much. I'm not going to go out to breakfast as much. I'm going to be just more cautious and a little more reserved. Yeah. It's not always the best for the economy. You know what I'm saying? Too many of us were being reserved. It's not a good thing. But I'm putting my money into fruit trees. Like I just bought a bunch of fruit trees because someday fruit's expensive. I want to grow my own. I put my own blueberries in. Blueberries, we buy a lot of blueberries a year. I want to get to the point where I have my own blueberries. Like I'm not buying any blueberries. I have my own because I have all this property. So why not do stuff that's going to be productive someday? So there's always something to do. And my encouragement, if you're in debt, don't play the lottery. Don't go to the casino. That's not how to do it. Just go work. Little by little, you're going to get out. Don't have that in mind. I got to get out tomorrow. You don't have to be out of that tomorrow. Have a plan. Execute the game plan. Time will go by, and you'll find yourself on the other side of it eventually. And you'll be on the plus and in the black, and that'll be a good feeling. But it takes time, and you got to be patient, and you got to be consistent. Husbands and wife, you got to be on the same page. Don't be one spending money like crazy, they're trying to save money. You got to both understand where you're at, both agree to things, stick to the game plan. Anyway, we appreciate you tuning into this podcast. Hope you have an awesome week.